I made this mobile game in around a week or so, and I kind of wanted to talk a little bit about mobile game development. Now, I don't know how all companies make mobile games, but I've heard of a couple companies, and the way I understand the mobile game industry is that you basically churn out many ideas, like tens of ideas per week, and you just try to find something that works, where players, I guess, get just addicted to the game, or in friendlier words, games that resonate with players, or something like that. Then you make the monetization work so that each player on average earns you X amount of money, and then if it costs less than that to acquire new users for your game, then your game is basically printing money. And like that's the way I see mobile game industry working. Like it or not, that seems to be kind of how it works. And unfortunately, there is basically no room for premium mobile games where you buy the game for like $5 and then you own it and then you have no microtransactions and you just get to play it. The economics just don't really make sense for that, and there's like so little buying intent for paid mobile games that it's just very difficult to get any users. I think the only exceptions basically are PC games that have mobile ports. I don't know from the top of my head any exceptions where a mobile game would be popular. A premium mobile game would have gotten popular just on mobile. And the only exceptions that I can come up with are like very old, like from the 2010s basically. And this basically leaves mobile developers in a place where basically the only option is to make games that are monetized through in-app purchases, basically microtransactions. And I don't think it's a bad thing. I think you can create very good mobile games that are a great experience for free-to-play players as well. And then the microtransactions are basically for those who don't have the patience to actually play the game, but just, I guess, want to make progress anyway. Now, of course, big companies are gonna keep doing what they have been doing, and basically that has very little to do with how indie developers do things. But to me, an interesting thing is that now actually indie developers do have I think they do have a real shot at competing in this game as well. If you have a great idea for a mobile game, you can basically develop it in a week or two. My game, for example, is in a very playable state. I don't know if it's any good, probably not. I think it would take at least a couple more weeks of balancing to actually make this game good and to play well. But it does look cool watching the units battle it out, and it is kind of fun to play. I think in the long term though, the balance is gonna be quite a bit off, unfortunately. But the point still stands. I think if you have a game idea, you can create a prototype in about 2 days or even even the same day, and you can actually finish it into a publishable state in less than 2 weeks. And that's not full-time development, that's basically just working on it after work for a few hours every day. And this would basically mean that solo developers could publish like 20 games in a year and actually get meaningful data on if any of those games resonate with the players. And then if they do make a game that actually resonates with players, they can develop that further, they can actually start monetizing that and maybe even turn full-time game developers. So that's kind of where I see the mobile game development landscape going for solo developers and small indie studios. And of course, AI assistance is going to be a big part of it. The time it takes to write the code for a game, or basically any mobile game, is just so much it's so much less when you use AI tools to write the code versus when you're doing it all by yourself. How much code is there in this project? Like how many files, how many lines of code? How long would it take for a experienced developer to write this whole code base? Let's see what Claude thinks about this. Now people make fun about AI estimating workloads, but the joke is basically that AI is estimating its own workloads, so that it says that something takes 2 weeks when it literally takes AI 40 minutes to write the code for the feature. But of course, like when humans are writing the code, it does not scale the same way. Basic code takes humans much longer to write than AI. For more advanced code, I think nowadays the same stands. If the problem is very unique, very novel, then maybe AI just can't do it. But anything AI can do, it's gonna be faster than basically all humans, I would say. Alright, we have some results. It says that we have 15,000 lines of app code. Then we have almost 4,000 lines of CSS and some HTML. Then we have some game data code. This stores all the items and units and everything like that. Abilities. 4,000 lines of custom tooling to basically edit the sprites and audio and other in-game features. I guess some of these are also unit tests and, you know, screenshot tools for the AI itself. And then some docs, which we shouldn't really count. So it says it takes 4 to 6 months full-time development work, or I guess 2 to 3 months if it's just, you know what you're writing, you just have to write the code and do the work. And I think that sounds pretty reasonable. I mean, there's a lot of features here. There's like the battle itself. There's like daily quests. Some other like campaign map, the units themselves, all the UI for it, the inventories, the leveling up, the stats, the abilities. Every unit has like 3 or 4 abilities. They scale with the stats of the unit. They have equipable items. The items themselves can be upgraded. Then of course the shop with all the in-app purchases. You have to configure these APIs. You have to, I think we have also like, you can watch an ad to get stuff. That's an API you have to integrate. Shops, portals with the rolling of units. Let's actually get some funds. Yeah, you can roll units in the shop. You can you have this event where you get extra rewards for summoning units. We have these different game modes. So all of that is basically gonna take a lot of development time. And that's not even taking into account the actual battle itself, which would take a lot of iteration for a developer to complete all the battle features. All the status effects, damage, healing, abilities, and then of course building out all the units we have in the game. That would also take its own time. As well as the visuals for the game and coding all the particle effects and the damage numbers and the status effect UIs and all the other effects that are applied as the game plays. So I think 2 to 3 months is definitely a reasonable time to complete all of this work. Yeah, and it's saying, 3 months might be what it takes for someone who has done it before and they're building something they kind of know already. And if they also have to work on the game balance and they maybe need to learn a lot on the way, it might take more like 6 months. That might be stretching it if we're talking about this state of the game, but I think 3 months would be a very realistic amount of time to build something like this. Now, of course, the point is not to make games as fast as possible or to be able to churn out a new game every week. The point is that once you have an idea and once your vision is kind of clear of what you want the game to be, we don't want to spend any excess time on writing the code. We want to have as tight as possible iteration loop. The goal is that once you come up with a change you want to see in your game, you can make that change happen, turn into a real change you can see and test in the game as fast as possible. You know, in a perfect world, instantly. Let's say I want the chest to do some kind of happy dance when I click on it. How long does it take for me to make that change? You know, if I'm doing it by hand, maybe it takes me 5 minutes to write out the animation code. If I do it here, let's pick a maybe faster model or a smaller model, and can you make the chest in the home screen make a happy flip dance animation when it's clicked if it's empty? Let's see how long it takes. You know, just being able to make stuff fast doesn't make stuff AI slop. It doesn't make it bad. The real goal is to be able to instantly turn your idea or the thing you want to change into a observable thing on the screen. And if you can also make it more accurate so that the change you want to see is more accurately reproduced in your game, then that's even better. Then we're at the point where you're designing in real life, in real time, with your exact vision of what needs to be changed. And to me, that's kind of the purest form of expressing your creative vision. Now, unfortunately, this isn't quite real time yet. I just realized that when I switched to the smaller model, it has to compact the conversation, so it's gonna take quite a bit longer. But the kind of the beauty of this is that even though if it takes a while sometimes, which most of the time it actually doesn't take too long, you can still work on other stuff while you wait. So there we go, it took a couple minutes after it had compacted. We can see there's still some issues with it. It doesn't quite always play right, but I guess visuals are the weakest part of AI tools. The flip doesn't always work right, and I was thinking more like a Z coordinate flip. Flipping multiple times doesn't look right. Also, chest hitbox should be a bit bigger. It's easy to tap to the side and open the hero view. Yeah, making games with the AI tools right now is a lot of just tweaking and iterating on what you see. Okay, that's basically it. Let's see it now in action. Okay, it seems to work. Maybe it's a little choppy. I'm not sure what's going on with that. The animation seems to reset on the way sometimes. It doesn't. It's a bit like jumpy. It doesn't seem to always play completely. Yeah, with the web stacks, a lot of the time you have to tell it stuff like this, where things don't play or animations reset when something happens. That happens with like all of the animations quite a bit, where you click on somewhere and then other things update visually. Although I'm pretty sure that could be fixed with the right skills in the project. So I'll have to look into that actually. There we go. So yeah, that's it. That's my thoughts on mobile game development nowadays, especially for indies and solo developers. I'll see you in the next one.